Welcome to This Is My Architecture. Today, I'm joined by Tom from Veritas. Welcome, Tom.
Thanks, Elvis. Appreciate the opportunity.
Tell us, what does Veritas do?
So Veritas is an enterprise data management company that focuses on three things: availability of applications and the storage they're consuming, which is what we're going to talk about today. The other two pieces are protecting that data and making sure that in the event that something catastrophic happens, you can recover that data. And then the third piece, insight into that data. Lots of data out there, and customers want to be able to more efficiently manage that data.
All right. Well, let's talk about the availability piece. Tell us about that.
So probably the best way to describe InfoScale is a kind of a bridge between applications and infrastructure. So we're essentially abstracting the complexity of the infrastructure from a clustering perspective, from a storage perspective, and making it directly accessible to that application.
Okay.
So if we have, let's say, for instance, a business critical service, as a large beverage company, one of the largest beverage companies in the world, their business critical service was SAP in the back end. They use SAP for production, delivery, sales, distribution, everything. What they wanted to do, and this was a CIO initiative, as many of us have seen, want to move in the cloud for cost saving purposes, right? So we went in and worked with a system integrator initially, and they were told that it was going to take 3 years to make this transition into AWS. We came in and says, no, there's a number of things that we can do to drastically reduce that time, and ended up doing it in 8 months. How we did that was focusing on three key areas. First, the migration. How do we get there? And when you're going to migrate, most of the time you're looking at moving that data set from on-prem into cloud. So InfoScale has a global file system that enables us to actually replicate data from on-prem into cloud. One of the things that we noticed immediately is, since we are at the file system level and have application intelligence, is that they had 100 terabytes of capacity. The initial system integrator was thinking, well, I got to copy 100 terabytes over there. He says, no. If you actually look at the data sets in that 100 terabytes, there's only 30 terabytes of data. So that was a drastic savings.
So you help them, or InfoScale help them move that easily from on-premises into a version of InfoScale on AWS.
Correct.
Okay.
So along with that storage migration piece, the second area that they ran into a challenge with was costs. They wanted to put the entire SAP and Oracle on the back end into performance storage, which is somewhat expensive. So since we do have this global file system, we were able to show them how that we could carve things up. So if you've got 10% of your data that you want in highly performant storage, you can do that. You got 60% and just sit in standard HDD, and then you've got 30% that you're going to put in S3.
Got it.
In a single file system, we can carve that up with policies that dictate how much data stays in one persistent state at another time, and then eventually tier that off.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you're using the various storage tiers that AWS offers through the intelligence in InfoScale to tier that in a cost-effective
And
way.
to help customers save money.
Performant way.
When they looked at it initially, it broke their TCO model. But when we said, no, Amazon offers all kinds of storage, and we can help you carve that up based on the right fit for function for that
Right.
data set.
So then you got that into one region. Can you scale across regions with InfoScale?
So that comes back to the availability piece. The second concern. They wanted the same level of availability that they had on-prem, and they were replicating data all over the globe. So they were interested initially in zone-to-zone replication, which we can do synchronously through this clustered file system. And then also for disaster recovery purposes, they wanted to be able to replicate this to another region. So since our intelligence within InfoScale really sits at this business critical service or application level, we understand the relationship between the application and the data sets that they're being consumed. on that clustered file system that supports any type of storage on the back end, we're able to understand the relationship of that storage to the application. So in the event that there is any inconsistencies in terms of replication, you have a failure, you immediately want to cut things off from writing to those data sets to avoid corruption. That's what InfoScale delivers.
Got it. And then what if you still need it on premises for, say, compliance reasons or some other reason like that?
So many customers are concerned for regulatory purposes or potentially latency issues, and they can't put everything into the cloud. Or if you're a financial institution in the United Kingdom, for instance, you have to be able to fail over from on-prem into cloud and back and be able to show that. So we can actually do that through an automated process. We actually call it fire drill, and it's essentially a fire drill. You don't have to do anything with your production application. You can fail over into the cloud, fail over out of the cloud, show the auditor the compliance report, and we can also do this on Outpost. If you don't want to move that data out, you can have a hybrid cloud configuration with some of your data on-prem and bursting capabilities into the cloud.
Neat. Well, thanks for sharing your architecture with us today, Tom. And thank you for watching. This is my architecture.